with trading, you gotta understand that it's not gonna happen overnight. It's most likely not gonna happen in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But I just continue to just stick to the process, continue to believe in myself, and just continue to.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another trader interview here at SFT. Today I'm with Eian Barker, who is from the USA, Michigan, and has managed to withdraw a massive $10,000 from SFT. And we have him here today with us, and he's going to walk us through his journey and speak to us how he became a profitable trader. So Eian, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
No worries at all. The first question, a simple one. How did you get your start in Forex? How did you find out about it? And how has the journey been up until now?
It's definitely been a rough journey, just like everybody else. There's their ups and downs. But in 2019, I started to have an interest in investing. I worked in a warehouse with one of my boys, and we do like quick loading and unloading. And after that, we just be like pushing a broom around, just a warehouse job that we really didn't have to do much. So we're like, bro, this is not it. This is not what we want to do. So we just started thinking about like, what do we want to do with our life? So we just got interested in investing, and we started talking about the importance of investing, how schools don't teach us much about investing. So we just kind of, and I started like just gain my interest. So I started about thinking about different ways where I could get started to invest and like make money and stuff. So when I got to my JUCO college, probably about my sophomore year, I got introduced to my mentor. He's not my mentor, he's my teacher, but I looked at him as a mentor because he just had so much information, and he was just able to like, he was just always giving me game. You know what I'm saying? So we called him Unc. So I had a good relationship with him, and one day he brought up Forex, and I'm like, what is that? I had no idea what it is. Then a couple months later, my teammate, he was actually an IML. So I took the IML route, just like most people do. And my idea was I saw how people were making money from their phones, and I just thought that was very interesting. I'm like, I see people making 300, 400, $500 here and there. I'm like, that's a solid, skill, something that I'd be interested in. And certainly I can have my job, I can pay the bills with that. So that instantly got my interest. Seeing those blue screens, I thought it was dope. But they were too focused on recruiting and all that. So that only lasted a couple months. Trying to balance that and my basketball season, it just wasn't really fitting for me. So I left that come around 2020 when COVID hit. One of my friends got into IML, and it's like my best friend since sixth, seventh grade, or one of my best friends since sixth, seventh grade. So actually, his whole family was doing it. So during COVID, everybody's looking for different ways to make money. So his brother actually played basketball with somebody who was a chairman, and how'd that work out? So he kind of like the chairman just got my boy's whole family, like aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. They all got involved in the IML. So I was like, you know what? I tried it once. Let's try it again. Kind of had the same result. I wasn't really learning the skill as much as I wanted to, and the chairmans were pushing like how they always push recruiting stuff, but it wasn't really my thing. So I hit a couple ranks and everything into it, but after like I hit a couple ranks and I got people under me and stuff, and I'm realizing like all these promises that they're making, I'm not making any money from these signals and stuff. So I'm like, I feel guilty trying to keep bringing people in these ranks, trying to get the different, just rank up in the company. Um, I just felt guilty with that. So like it wasn't really sitting right with me. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna push this to the side again, and that's when I found YouTube. And so 2020 all the way up to 2023, just YouTube grind, free YouTube grind. Um, and yeah, so throughout YouTube, I can see these guys living these certain lifestyles. I can see the money they're making. I can see how they're changing their lives, and I can see how they're changing their families' lives. And I mean, kind of just motivated me, inspired me because like around 2020, I also had a lot of different things going on, like no more basketball because one, COVID, two, I had to miss the second half of my JUCO season. I don't know if you know anything about JUCO. I don't know if you're a sports guy, but JUCO is
No, I
like,
don't. I don't personally.
yeah. So JUCO is like it's a 2 year school that you go to before a university. So it's a community college. So you go there for 2 years and then you try and go to a university. So when you're in your second year there, that's your sophomore year of college. It's like that's like your last shot. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that goes JUCO, they're trying to get to a university. I got hurt I got hurt the second game of conference, so I missed the whole second half of that season. So there's a lot that I can go into that. So now I'm worried about what school am I going to go to, and everything like that. But yeah. So I had no basketball. Just life was taken away from me. Just COVID. So I'm saying like I can't hang out with people. Like my norms are all gone. So it's just like, who am I? What am I gonna do? I can't hoop right now. I can't see my friends right now, stuff like that. So I just really focused and started locking on like who do I want to be and what do I want to do with my life. Like figure out my purpose. And I couldn't really think of many careers and jobs that got me excited. Like see myself doing forever. So I just kept focusing on trading, and I kind of developed a passion for it, and I just stuck with it. Here I am. So
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, it's a crazy story because I mean, I personally also got into trading about 5 years ago, so what that about the same time, 2019, back through IML as well, and I went through kind of a similar thing to you where it was I enjoyed it at first. I enjoyed this kind of idea of like this teamwork and kind of building together until I realized that I had learned nothing about trading. In the
yeah,
whole time I was there, about a year, I'd learned nothing. So yeah, I can kind of feel that the pain of going through that first part of it, for me, that put me off for years. I didn't come back to trading again until like a year ago. So it's good that you managed to still stick with it and find the passion. There's not many people that are passionate about trading. They just do it for the money. So
exactly.
for you, this is like a 4 year long journey now, 5 years coming into. And like you said, there's a 3 year period where you're self teaching on YouTube. How did this go? How did you go from kind of having no knowledge to all of a sudden making 10K in payouts? Like, how was that journey?
Uh, just perseverance and just continue learning. So with trading, you gotta understand that it's not gonna happen overnight. It's most likely not gonna happen in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But I just continue to just stick to the process, continue to believe in myself, and just continue to just taking all this free game, this free knowledge. Like these days, like on YouTube, you got so many like podcasts. Like shout out to Riz, that man is
Mm,
wonders for me. We all know how crazy Riz is, so shout out to him. The FX Summit. So like just taking the knowledge, trial and error, just trying different strategies and finding what strategy really like works for you and sticks for you. So like what worked for me was like I kind of learned from one person in 2020, and then all the way up to 2022 is kind of where I finally switched my strategy because for 2 years it wasn't working. 2022 comes around, I'm on YouTube. I found some strategies that really worked for me, and I just stuck with it. So trial and error. A big difference in my like shift was journaling. So all of
mm,
2022, that's when I started to journal. And the importance of journal, I heard Roy say this at the FX Summit. He said, the best course you can have is your own data. So I journaled all 2022, not as consistent as I like. I really wasn't consistent until January or February 2023. But even those like journals, I could tell like my bad habits. I was able to point out what my bad habits were. So some of my bad habits were like over trading, greed, chasing the money. If you chase it, it's gonna run. And I kind of had a we'll talk about that later. But yeah, when you chase the markets, you're beating yourself up. So
mm.
but yeah, it just my success came from just trial and error, sticking with it, continuing to believe in myself, continuing to believe in the vision that I have for myself, and just work hard, man. That's all you got to do. Never
Yeah, and
quit.
I think
Never
I,
quit.
I think it's a common theme amongst the traders that I speak to that actually make it. One of the biggest things that they speak about is their own perseverance. And it's something that a lot of newer traders maybe aren't so ready for. And I think you come from a background of sport, and that has probably helped quite a lot with that mindset of perseverance. Would you say there's anything else that's kind of helped build your psychology from outside of trading?
Um, yes, absolutely. So one thing that I like in 2020, something that I kind of like started to like love was just working on myself. You know, so self development, trying to build good habits, trying to build your character, and just figure out who you're becoming. So with trading, you really have to know yourself. You have to know your strengths. You have to know your weaknesses. So personal development and spending time with yourself to know yourself and understand yourself is very important. So like I picked up pretty strong habits. Like I have friends that were like, he's crazy because like I wake up at like 5 a.m., go do a workout, get another workout in by 9 o'clock and stuff like that. And I just think that was like, it just built like good habits. So like if I'm able to show up for myself to work on my body, like working out or work on my skills, basketball, that's going to give me the opportunity to show up on the charts in the right way, in the right time. So just making sure like I was building the right habits, like reading, journaling, time management, crossing off the stuff on my planner. This all builds discipline and it builds consistency. And those are two of the most important things, not only to be successful in trading, but I believe to be successful in life.
Yeah, 110%. And this is the thing. Most of the skills that you will learn in trading that you develop to become a successful trader are completely transferable to all the other areas of your life. If you want to be successful in anything, you're going to have to be this regimented person who understands their goals and their visions. And it sounds like you did, and that's how you kind of got to this place.
Yeah.
So then, like you said, you spent 2 years about that amount of time working on a strategy that didn't work.
Yeah.
How did you develop the strategy that you use today?
Um, so I'd say I learned from probably like two, three different channels. And everything that I've learned, credit to all of it. They all gave me different types of knowledge. So like all these different people that I've learned from, I kind of just meshed it together and I just found out what works for me. And then just so like my strategy is I want everything simple. I know ICT is big these days, but sometimes when I hear people talk about the order blocks and stuff, just stuff like that, the lingo, I get confused. And I'm curious to how you trade because I don't even know, but we can talk about that. But so I'm a basic like just support and resistance trader, like break and retest trader, with all the different lingos and the indicators and stuff for trading. Like it can be a lot. So I just figured, let me figure out what's simple. What strategy can I find that's uh, the most simple, like I don't want to say easiest, but it's just like not as confusing. Like I like my charts pretty naked charts, and just I don't want my eyes to be scattered everywhere. So uh, yeah, I just found the strategy that I thought complements me, my personality, and once I found it, I stuck with it, and that was the strategy. I knew at that moment that was the strategy. So just like
Mm.
support and resistance, major areas like daily 4 hour break and retest, and yeah, I just look for to stick with the trends and everything. So it's like once I found that, yeah, like I said, trial and error, just back test my strategy, journal my strategy, forward test my strategy, and just always looking to sharpen different areas of my strategy. So
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting because, like you said, a lot of people come now, and I mean, ICT's got such a big following at this point that I think a lot of new traders coming in, they assume that's the only way you can make money. And
yeah,
like you said, I mean, I personally, I started learning ICT, and it was, like you said, it's way too confusing and complex. There's way too many different concepts that need to be understood. So there are tiny parts of it that I took. So order blocks being one of them, I do pay attention to order blocks, but
yeah,
it was just the easiest thing I could get my head around. But I'm seeing more and more people coming out openly saying that they do use these simpler strategies like break and retest, support and resistance.
yeah.
And I personally believe that there's probably a case to say that they're actually more successful because there are less rules to follow. And you can follow them to the T every time. There's less emotional stress that comes with it. So,
With strategies like that, it's all it is. It's all
mm,
psychology because the strategy is so simple, but if you're not right mentally, if you're not emotionally, if you lack patience, then it's really the only like self sabotage is the biggest way to like mess yourself up when it comes to like such a basic strategy. Other than that, like you have basic principles. Like I call it my strategy is like a 5 step rule. I call it the sauce, but it's just yeah. So that's really the only way you can really beat yourself up. And of course, you got marketing conditions that may not be in your favor, but just making sure you're in control of your psychology and your mentals and emotions is biggest, I think.
yeah. And like you said, if it is all about psychology and mental, then in my opinion, it almost makes more sense to keep things more simple. The simpler it is, the less likely it is that you can mess yourself up and make mistakes. So,
Less is more.
yeah. So, like you said, your strategy has become quite a simple thing that you use, and presumably it's a few basic rules that you just follow over and over again. Do you then have a strategy to kind of go through challenges, and does it differ to how you go through your funded accounts?
Um, I'm still fresh in the game, but I go about them uh, basically the same way. They're pretty similar. So I don't risk any more than 1%. I'm not supposed to risk any more than 1%. It happens sometimes where you might go against your rules, but yeah. So I try to risk no more than 1% per day. I like to limit myself to 3 trades per week. Something that I noticed, and something I thought about was like the more I'm into the markets, I'm increasing my chances of losing my capital. So one of my bad habits was over trading. in summer 2022, dude, I took probably 4 or 5 challenges in that one summer and I failed them all. I remember I failed a challenge in one day, and that was because of
Mm.
risking. I'm risking 2%, and I'm chasing the money. One thing that I can say to anybody is if you're trying to chase this money in the markets, don't do it because it's gonna run away from you, and it's just you're self sabotaging at that point. But yeah, dude, I almost forgot the question. What's up? What was it again?
Yeah, yeah. Just I mean, you've spoken through most of it. It's kind of your appetite for risk, like you said. You keep it quite simple. It's the 1%. You don't need to risk more than that. I don't think
Yeah,
anyone needs to risk more than that, to be honest. But people are
I
gonna
got
do what
a
they're gonna do.
I got a very systematic approach too. So it's like I realize that the more I trade, the more I lose, unfortunately, and the less I trade, the more profitable I am. So my like I kind of have like I said, systematic approach. So I kind of want to have just 3 trades per month. Let's say we have 4 trading weeks or 3 trades per week, 4 trading weeks. That's 12 trades per month. Um, so by giving myself 3 trades per week and risking 1%, I'm giving myself 4 possible outcomes. So 4 probabilities I can have. I can go 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, and then 0-3. If you were to take those probabilities and like do the math on the numbers, like if I was to go 3-0, oh, and another thing is I risk 2.5%, or my risk to reward is 2.5. So every
Mm.
trade I enter, so I have a fixed risk, I have a fixed uh R to R, and I have like my fixed number of trades per week. But like I'm saying, if you do the probabilities, you can go either 3-0, 2-1, 1-2, or 0-3. If I was to go 3-0, risking 1%, targeting 2.5 R to R, I just increased my account by 7.5% in a week. Like that's great. If you tell me I could do that, I have the chances of doing that a couple times a month on a 100K account. Like that's phenomenal. If I go 2-1, I increase my account by 4%. You take those 2 wins, 5%, take it away from the one loss, 4%. If I go 1-2, I'm up 0.5% for the week. And if I go 0-3, I'm down 3%. So if you look at the 4 probabilities, 3 out of those 4 give me a chance of being profitable in the week if I stick to my rules and don't deviate away from it. A 75% chance of ending the week profitable.
Mm.
If you just stick, sound good, doesn't it? If you stick with that rule set, which there's been times where we'll get to it where I drifted away from it, emotional tilt. But that's my system. That's my approach to the markets, and I'm big on less is more.
I mean, honestly, I actually made a tweet about this morning, and it was basically just stating statistically across the board, if you look at all firms, the more trades you take, the more likely it is that you'll lose money and blow accounts. And I find it interesting that it is such an open statistic, and yet so few people, including myself, I'm gonna hold my hands up. I at least take 1 trade a day. Every day I at least take 1 trade a day. But my limit is 1 trade a day. So even to that point, the more I've been listening to other traders that are successful like yourself, or that I perceive as successful, the more it's clicking how serious that is, and the way that you've just come about it in a mathematical kind of way. No one's ever said it to me like that before. The way that you've just explained it, it's like, well, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
There should be no reason to come outside of that. And then, I mean, the only other thing I want to know to do with that then is a 10K kind of withdrawal on a 100K account. That's only 10% in a month, and to most people that's quite reasonable. Is that something that just kind of happened, or do you have an actual withdrawal strategy?
Um, I don't have a withdrawal strategy yet. I just knew I wanted to get that first payout, and like I was running, so I was like, I think it was at that time 2 weeks until you can get your first payout. So once the opportunity came, I got that account to 10K, above 10K. I was like, I'm done. Let me get this first payout, and I took it, and man, that was the best feeling. That was just
I, I bet it was. So again, full transparency, I'm still yet to get my first payout. So I can't even imagine what that feeling feels like after 4 or 5 years in the markets to get to that point. And was this your first payout, kind of full stop as well?
yeah, it was my first payout. It was a pretty big one too. So, well, not, I don't know what's big to people, but me, that's big. I've been in this for 3 years, man. It ain't make a cent. So, 3 4 years, it didn't make a cent. So it's like, it was big. So
Yeah, I mean, and I personally think we should not concern ourselves with kind of whether it is big or not. It's all based on personal circumstances. You know how that feels to you, and if it feels amazing, it feels amazing.
and that
Um,
can beat you up too. Because I remember when I was going for my third payout, because I messed up in a way. Like when I withdrew the my first payout, just the way that it's set up, like when you're on the account, like they show you the total amount that you have, like profit that you made. And I kind of calculated the 80% myself. I don't know if you know how to do it, but like whatever. I could have withdrew more, and I kind of was like, I could have withdrew more. So the time it was time for me to like to get my third payout, I was like, I want more, I want more, I want more. You know what that sounds like? That's greed. I'm getting greedy. I
Mm.
want more, I want more, I want more. Now I'm in drawdown. So by me doing that, I was taking losses. I kind of went against my rules a little bit, and that's why it's like, don't focus on how much payout you're getting. You got to realize that trading is giving you an opportunity that most people would die for. Like the amount of money that you can make in a week is it's limitless. Like I was starting to get greedy. It's like I need to realize that I'm making like I just made a lot of people's monthly income in a week. So it's just like don't feel the pressure to have these big payoffs because that's something that I did. I'm thankful and grateful that I've learned from it because I'm not gonna allow that to get to me again. Hopefully, I'm not gonna allow that to get to me again. We all know that trading, psych battles and stuff like that. But yeah, don't focus on big payouts. Just focus on getting the money that you need. If you like it, take it.
Yeah, and I think that is a really interesting point. Like you said, even when you know what the outcome of the situation is, the fact that you was able to identify within yourself, I'm getting greedy,
Yeah,
that is a quality and a skill that is very overlooked. This idea of self-awareness, and this isn't just a trader specific thing. I think this is across the board. It's a societal issue. Most people are not self-aware, so to have that quality in yourself is obviously, that's a massive bonus. Is there any kind of other traits or skills that you think are almost mandatory for traders to kind of have in this industry?
absolutely. You need to be patient. Um, because one of my old, I mean, it's not just me. A lot of people like impulse trading. That's a big thing. So you have to be able to be patient and like wait for your original setups. Like one of my rules or one of my keys to success is be patient and be disciplined enough to wait for your original analysis to present itself. Sometimes like I have the weekend analysis where so like my pre week analysis where Sunday night, let's just say Sunday night, I type out everything on my charts, like what it is I'm looking for, what I anticipate to happen in the markets. And then sometimes you might find yourself over analyzing the markets. You're just looking at the charts too much, and then you think you're seeing something. You think you're seeing something, and then you make an impulse move because you see a strong bullish or bearish candle that you think is going to go in your direction. And then sometimes the outcome is it's just not time for that trade to take off yet. And then I realized if I would have just waited and stuck to my original analysis, everything that I typed out and put on my screen for me to wait for and see and execute on that, um, I wouldn't have had that loss earlier in the week. If I would have just waited, I would have been profitable. Well, I could have still ended the week profitable, but like I would have avoided that one loss and I would have had a higher percentage gain for the week. So definitely patience. Um, that's a trait that you need to have. You need to have discipline, self-discipline, like mentally. You need to have that discipline, like we talked about earlier, in trading and out of trading, because your outside world reflects your trading. Patience, discipline. I literally have all these things on my wall. Actually, I don't know why I'm just not looking at
Yeah.
them. I have everything here, bro. But yeah, patience, discipline. Um, that's how, that's the most important thing, honestly. And trying your best to be in control of your emotions.
Yeah, and I think like you said, realistically, while you're trying to figure out all the other possible things it could be, it is mainly that idea of being disciplined, sticking to the rules, and it's the idea of being patient. And I think patience and discipline in terms of trading are almost one in the same thing. It's just this
Absolutely.
idea that you have a set of rules and you have to follow them. And
Yeah,
then yeah, like you said, the emotional control is a whole different thing. That's, I mean,
yeah.
emotional intelligence is a lifelong game to build. No one gets it immediately. It takes forever. Um, but so kind of moving on from this, you've got a 100K account with SFT right now. You presumably you still have that,
I do, but I am in my drawdown period. So,
like many of us.
yeah,
Do
yeah,
you have kind of a plan for the future to kind of build your capital?
absolutely. It's my screensaver on my phone. So like
Amazing.
I have these this kind of honestly that's what got me to the point where getting funded last year at the end of 2023. But yeah, so my approach is just like I want to I've got my firms chosen, like that I feel like I'd be comfortable with, my different like probably three, four firms that I know I'd like to be funded with. And the goal, of course, is we all know that more capital you have, the more you can make. So I want to max all those out. So for like quarter one, I want to finish up SFT, max out SFT, and then quarter two, three, four, or quarter two and three, I got two other firms that I want to max those out. In quarter three, it's just one firm. I don't even know if it's maxing them out completely, but I have it written down to uh, like what my goal is. So let it happen this year. Let it not happen. Whatever I'm going to push for, I want to have 2 million in funding by the end of this year. So my plan is just to max out those different firms, and then at the end of the year, hopefully have 2 million in funding. And after like this struggle, I had like December and January, had me in a chokehold, man. It was a little difficult. So it taught me how I'm going to want to approach my challenges, or not the challenges. But it showed me how I want to manage my funding accounts down the line. So that's definitely my goal, is just to keep increasing the capital, because the more capital you have, the more money you can make. And the thing is, like, you don't really have to change anything. You can keep the same system. This is something I said, like the big percentage weeks, the big percentage months, they're gonna come later down the line, or not even like the big percentages, but like the bigger profit gains gonna come, and it's not gonna come from me taking more trades. I'm gonna stick to the same amount of trades that I take per week, but the capital increasing, that's just gonna increase the profits that I bring in every month, every week, every year. So that's really my main goal. One of my main goals is just million in funding and just keep maxing out these firms. Let me get out of this drawdown first, but once I'm out of there, it's time.
I think it's really important the way that you've just seen it, because for you it probably seems like a given because it's the way you think. Increasing the funding is the more important part of it, but I mean, I increasingly see more and more traders focused on the account that they have, no matter what it is. That's their biggest focus, and that means all they can do is try to make more on that account. So yeah, the fact that you've got the logic in the back of your head constantly, like I have a route, I have a plan, is, again, it goes in with everything else you're doing. Everything is very regimented, routined, and that is clearly how you've managed to get to this point. I mean, what's out of all the mistakes that you've made so far, what is the biggest kind of lesson that you have personally learned that you could share with anyone new coming into the industry?
The biggest lesson I've learned that I can share with new people, it's not gonna happen overnight, man. You have to be patient with this. You have to be able to put in the work. No, coming into trading, that it's not gonna happen overnight. It might take a year, 2 years, 3 years. It's different for everybody. Some people it could take 6 months, rarely, but most people it's gonna take 3-4 years. I look at trading as a college degree. You can't just go to school for 1 year, 2 years, and become an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor. You got to put your time in. You got to put your reps in. So put the time in, put the reps in, work hard, have faith, believe in yourself, and if you never quit, you're gonna get to where you're gonna be. Just never quit. And I heard Ice Cube said something one time. It's always stuck in my head. It's like, if you're not willing to put in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years into a craft, and be able to not make 1 cent, like if you can go in 5 years and not make a penny, don't even start. So like if you think you're about to get rich overnight, a year, 2 years, stop putting a time limit on yourself. Just trust the process, trust the journey, embrace the journey. You're gonna fail a whole lot, but all those failures, you gotta have a positive mindset and perspective, and you gotta look at them as a lesson. And that's really what it is. That's all trading is trial and error until you finally get to that point where you figure it out. So just stick with it, persevere, never quit.
And that is, I mean, this is a kind of interesting thing that I like to think about. I don't personally think there is anyone who has ever failed at trading. I don't think that exists. You can't fail at trading. You just quit. You quit before you ever get to the point. And I mean, it's sad when I look at it. 10% of people are gonna kind of make it, or less than that, really. And 90% of people, they're not failing. They're just giving up before they ever kind of get to that point. And
give up is never gonna happen.
Yeah, and that's just the realities of, again, not just trading. This is life. I think for me personally, trading teaches you more about yourself and about life than almost any other career ever could.
I wish people would understand it too. Like it's it teaches you a lot about yourself, and it's not easy, because these emotional and mental battles you go through, like they can really have a toll on you. Like it's crazy, but it makes you stronger at the end of the day. I can't wait to see where I'm at here now, because it is.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking about like the kind of mental strain that you get from it, a lot of it comes from being so actively on the charts. Like, are you a full-time trader at the moment? Is this kind of your full-time thing?
That's where I messed up. So I didn't really mess up, but I was considering myself full time until that drawdown hit. And so, no, I work part time. I work at Lifetime Fitness, so that's just one of my part time jobs. And I had another part time job that I had to leave, unfortunately, just stuff was going on. But that kind of like took me back a step because now that I'm losing that one source of income, I'm feeling the pressures to make more money with trading. That is when the bad habits came back. That's when the over trading came back. That's when the greed came back. That's when I got away from my edge that got me profitable in the first place. So no, I kind of jumped the gun too quick, and it wasn't really like intentional. Like I had to leave the job, so I still had the job if I didn't have to leave it. But no, I wouldn't consider myself full time yet. But of course we're working towards it, and we're gonna get there.
Yeah, and I do think it's important to understand and accept when you personally are ready. Like it's going to be different for everyone because like you said, it's the idea that you need to make money from Forex that drives desperation and almost all of the other psychological issues that come along with that.
Yeah.
And like
I don't
say
think you
again,
should.
sorry.
Yeah, I don't think you should. You got to build that safety net first. You got to have that safety net. I had a safety net, but I had to put money for different things. Like I had stuff to pay off, some college stuff to pay off, and I'm like, I just want to knock this out the way now, so I don't got to worry about it later. I'm just tired of thinking about it. So like, I think before you become a full time trader, you need to have a safety net, and I think you need to have, let's just say, 3 to 6 months, maybe a year's worth of like profitability. You know what I'm saying? So safety net. When I say like the safety net, I mean like try to have expenses covered. 6 months, a year's worth, maybe 3 months worth, but it all depends on how comfortable you are with your strategy, your mindset, just everything just everything in your life. Just you gotta make sure you get that safety net first before you go full time. And that's something where I think I jumped the gun,
Yeah.
but I'm learned from it, and now I'm not gonna make the mistake again. When I'm ready,
And that's the only thing you can do as well. We all make mistakes continuously, and the only people that are able to overcome it is the people that accept that they have made mistakes. Because you have to be able to be really honest with yourself and say, yeah, that was on me. No one else did this. That was my choice, and then learn and not make the same mistakes again. But one thing that I did want to ask, when you did kind of, even though it was a bit early, when you went full time, that to me was the biggest thing that affected my mental. Because I mean, I went full time before I was even profitable. I just thought, you know what, whatever happens, happens. But the biggest thing that I noticed was with all this spare time, with all this free time, all I did was for 8 hours a day stare at charts. And that was the unhealthiest thing I ever did. Like, what was your kind of your game plan to keep yourself occupied?
not much of one, honestly. Not much of a game plan. I think, and honestly, by that honestly brought up like bad habits in my daily life. Like I don't know if I got comfortable or I was still in a place actually when I did that I was still working towards like I'm in my rebuild phase, like just working towards getting my habits back together outside of trading. So I mean that kind of was my main focus. Wasn't going how I wanted still, and I'm still like in the rebuild, just trying to get myself back going. But it's like yeah, I didn't really have a plan, and that led to a lot of, like you said, you were looking at charts for 8 hours a day. I'm overanalyzing now, and when you overanalyze, you make impulsive decisions. And I don't know if you remember earlier, but I said impulse decisions. That is a negative habit, impulse trading. So, but yeah, that's why I'm happy I learned from it, and I'm not gonna jump the gun again. So I'm gonna make sure I get that safety net built, and then I'll go full time. Other than that, just yeah. And is it good to have a plan too? So I didn't have a great plan. That's I think I got comfortable. I think I got those payouts, and I was like, okay, we're here, time to go. And I stopped planning and I jumped the gun too quick. That's all it is. So.
And I think that's the key thing I've taken from that. Of all the other conversations we've had during this interview, everything has been very planned. You've had a very clear idea of what you want to happen. And it's clear that kind of the one area you didn't have a plan for, that was where the mistakes happened. So, I mean, it should be pretty obvious to everyone. The more kind of regimented you are, the better your plans are, the more you understand yourself and where you're going, the smoother things are going to run for you.
Yeah. You got to have a plan, man. I have my phone. I don't know if you see it. It's always blurry, but too much stuff on here. Whatever. But it's just like I have, I have a game plan. So it's like I got this quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and when you consistently like look at it, it's just registering in your head. That's why I have like, I guess you could say I deviated away from all this stuff for a while, but like I just have information on my wall in front of me. So like when I'm at my desk, then I can look up when I'm ready for my strategy. When I'm like trading my session, I can just look up. I got my A+ set up right there. So it's just, you know what I'm saying? It just sticks with you. So just make sure you like write a plan, have a goal, stick with it. I forgot what the quote is. I can't say I love it if I forgot it, but it's like a goal without a plan is just a dream. That's what it is. So write it down.
100%. And I mean, I have a similar sort of situation where, I mean, I have my second screen up here, and it's not even just for trading. I called it the exact same thing as you. It's my game plan, but it's got all the different aspects of my life, with my family life and my goals outside of trading, my trading, like it's everything's there. And since doing that, things have got a bit smoother. And so I completely understand why you would do that. And I urge kind of everyone else to do the exact same thing. Just have it in front of you. There's so many people that tell me that they've got their strategy, and when I ask them kind of, oh, can you show me it? It's just in their head. To me,
Exactly.
that's not a plan.
Gotta write it down, man. You have to see it, because other than that, you're just in the markets at different point. You don't know what you're looking for. You got to know these things. It's a big thing. I think people like sleep on that a little bit. You gotta have a visual somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, as we look to kind of come to a close, I mean, I am going to ask you before we finish if there's any things that I may have missed and other things that you want to speak about. But one question I kind of like to ask people, because I like to see where people's heads are at. If for some reason you can't trade from tomorrow, trading's gone, there's nothing you can do about it, that it's not there, what would be the likely kind of the new goal? What would you want to move into?
I've asked myself that question the other day, and I did not have a great answer. I don't know, bro, because this has been playing ABC since 2020. I still have an interest in investing, so like I like to see what I could do in real estate, and if so, but I have to build capital to the point where I can invest in the real estate and stuff like that. Yeah, I just know this has been playing ABC, so that's a difficult question, but I definitely have an interest for investing, and I like the idea of money making money. So
Yeah.
real estate, stock investing, stuff like that. I probably would just try and stuff like that, because that's really one of my main interests, is just the investing part. So,
Yeah, and I mean that's cool. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I think a lot of people that trade forex in general are interested in, like you said, money making money. That's
yeah,
like the thing that kind of brought them here. And the reason I asked the question isn't because, I mean, we all know the market's always going to be there. It's not even possible that's going to happen.
yeah,
But I think a lot of people don't think about the fact that it's unlikely you're going to trade forever. It's going to come to a point where you decide, I mean, either you've made enough money or you just don't want to have to sit there looking at charts anymore and doing that. And understanding what you would do if you couldn't trade kind of helps you build this idea of why you're trading in the first place. Like, what is the bigger goal? What comes after this? What happens at the end of it? So it's
yeah,
just something I like to ask people, just to kind of see where their head's at.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, thinking now too. I've actually never thought of like, would I ever stop trading? Because I see people talk about it sometimes. Like they're like, "Do you ever think you're gonna stop trading?" And it's like, personally, I wouldn't see a reason why to, unless you get tired of it. But the thing is, like, when it comes to trading, like, I'm not at the point yet, but like the money that I make from trading, I know that I'm gonna want to put that money towards other things, whether that's investment properties, whether that's starting my own businesses, um, stuff like that. So that's it. Starting my own businesses,
Yeah.
investment properties, and like I got some big dreams, man, that hopefully trading wouldn't go anywhere. But like once I get I'm financially where I want to be, it's like that's when I take that money and start putting it into other things. So I keep trading, money, save it, stack it, and it gets to the point where I put to other things, just have more income and just to diversify. Just test the water, see what I can do, see what's my potential, what can I make happen.
Yeah,
So,
and do you know, honestly, I think that's a big driver for a lot of people. For me, I don't want to get too much into this because it isn't about me, but like for me, a lot of the reason I started trading in the first place is because, and I mean, this is a weird one. Most other people aren't like this. I love cats for whatever reason. I got cats, and I want all the cats. And
yeah,
like a lot of the reason I want money is because I have this kind of innate desire to own big cats. I want to own big cats, tigers, leopards, things like that. And I know that only the super wealthy can do things like that.
yeah.
And in the back of my head, the only thing that can make me that sort of rich is trading.
That's actually
And
kind of sweet. I'm honestly like I get to see what a tiger, man, in the house. That's always sweet. Mike Tyson had a tiger. So yeah, that's dope
yeah,
though.
and that's kind of the thing. It's what drives us, because it sounds like, again, you're a very self-aware person. You're very regimented. You understand what you want kind of from this. And so I kind of always assume that someone that has the character like yourself also has very, very defined future goals, because this is what I need to do to get there. So I
Yeah.
always just like to kind of
Yeah, I
see
like that.
what
And
drives
and
it.
you saying the whole thing with the catch, like trading, you can fund the money you can make in trading. You can fund anything. So any passion that you have, anything that you're just interested in, you can fund it with trading, because the money you can make in trading over time is limitless. There's no cap. There's no salary.
Mm.
Like you can do whatever. So all those Tigers lines you want, man, or yeah, you're gonna get them, bro. You're gonna get them, bro. Just stick with it. So
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, like I said, I mean, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I've enjoyed kind of where you've come from, and again, the character that you are is very obvious to me, and it should be to kind of anyone who watches this, that you have a very specific character that is similar to many other successful traders, and it's something that I urge people to take stock of, how you think about everything. And the biggest thing that I have personally taken from this conversation that I would like everyone else to take is the way that you mathematically equated your chance of success in the markets. That is one of the most interesting things I've personally ever heard in trading. And yeah, I urge more people to kind of consider that logic, and I will be going off myself after and having a look at that. But yeah, unless there's any other areas that you're kind of you're looking to talk about that I might have missed.
no, all I can say is just never quit, man.
Never quit.
Faith in yourself, believe in yourself, and just put the work in. Everything else gonna work out in due time.
100. So, I mean, if we come into a close, Eian, thank you very, very much for being here with me today. It's been an amazing experience talking to you, and I wish you all the best of luck for hitting that 2 million funding at the end of the year.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome.